All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Select Talent Division 1 Championship Game Preview Show. Tonight, we have the Florida Gators and the Tennessee Volunteers. Winner takes all here in the battle of SEC for supremacy here in the title fight. With me in the booth tonight is Corey. Say hello to the people.
Yo. I'm excited for this. It's very I would say different contrasts only because Florida's more high fly and Florida's not high fly, but that's Tennessee. So, and then Florida's more the grind it out. So, it'll be interesting.
All right, I am looking forward to this one as well. Hopefully, it plays out a little bit closer than the game last night between Colorado and Memphis. Again,
we can't even call that a game.
You can if you are a fan of the Buffaloes. But again, we're going to go ahead and get this thing rocking and rolling. Give me just one moment to get this pulled up for everybody, and we're going to go ahead and mute that. Bing. Technology is supposed to make this so much better for everyone.
Never does.
We're learning piece by piece, and let me get just a second to get that squared away.
All right, guys. It's because they don't have me, the professional, doing all that. They got...
No, it's because we did this is our fourth game in 3 days. So, just a little taxing. It's not as easy as you would think, but...
No, it is very tiring, to say the very least.
So my apologies to the viewing public. All right, and first, let's go ahead and go through Florida's schedule really quick while we get this all squared away. Let's see. It looks like we started off the season with a resounding win over Alabama, 38-7, and back to back with Auburn. They clipped the wings off of War Eagle, 51-7. Following that up with a close loss to a Texas A&M by a touchdown, 42-35. Nebraska, they won that one in a interdivision game, 52-31. In the previous meeting, Tennessee 48, Florida 7. So it looks like they have a hill to climb, especially after the early season. Going on down, they played a ranked Kentucky. They won that 56-31. Miami 52-34. That's a D2 team, so that was against an AI. Then they had a ranked game against Georgia. Well, they lost that 49-38. They did beat Texas by a field goal. Beat LSU 31-14. Ole Miss by a point in a home game, and took care of Florida State 80-58 as well. Then going on, they did not make it into the conference championship game for the SEC. They did finish third overall at 5-2. Their first round game was against Texas Tech. They walked away with that one 56-14. They had a tight upset of number 2. That's Utah at 38-5, and they stomped Kansas, the second Big 12 team they played here in the playoffs. That was 47-10. And then that leaves us with tonight's game. Again, Florida coming into the playoffs ranked number 10. So 3 upsets under their belt. You think they could take number 1? Well, let's see what we can do. Let's go on to take a peek at the interview we have lined up with Florida. I'll give you just a moment to get that spooled up for you guys. And we'll get ready for Georgia here momentarily.
Surprised you didn't want to do the Tennessee schedule before the interviews.
No, we're gonna do Florida's interview first, and then we'll go through Tennessee's.
All right.
That's the plan of action here. Again, overall, Florida at 12-4, and again, riling off 3 straight victories here in the playoffs. And let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and talk to a Gators fan. We did manage to get a Gators fan to the Florida Gators. I'm kind of happy with that. Worked itself out. And with that, Gator, what players have stepped up for you in the playoffs so far to get you in this position?
First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to the Select League before I get going on these questions. Thank you for a great year, and looking forward to playing the number one team tonight in the Natty. The players that have been stepping up for me in the playoffs so far this year, or so far through this run, is been Montrell Johnson. 120 yards, getting the tough yards that we need. Taking on a lot of carries. Then my youngsters are in the receiving core with Eugene Wilson and Aiden Mazzell, them just racking up the big yards, making the big catches when we need it, or getting the tough yards that we need. And then defensively, it all starts in my linebacking core, Shamar James and R.J. Moten. They really control the run game and help slow it down from other teams, and then they help out in the pass games by taking stuff away across the middle. And I can't forget my defensive line. They've been getting a lot of pressure and causing people to not give them very much time to throw the ball. But collectively as a team, we've just been playing really, really well the last 3 weeks. And look forward to it tonight against number one Tennessee.
That you have, actually. Looking at it, you've won 7 straight going into tonight's game. With that, what about your team makes you think you can win the national championship here tonight?
What I think is going to help us win the Natty tonight against Tennessee. I just think that they just collectively as a team, we're smooth with it right now. We're doing everything right. We're just playing really good ball. We'll keep everything in front of us. We're not giving up the big plays, the big runs. We're not doing that. But then yet we're getting the big plays on offense that we need. And honestly, I'm going to go to the trenches. I just think that my offensive line and defensive line are playing extremely well, and I think that's one of the more bigger things tonight that's going to help me win the Natty is. The offensive line is going to help me run the ball, which is what I want to get started, which leads to the pass. And then on defense, the defensive line slows down the run, and then when they get the pressure on the pass, it's causes errant throws, which helps me get picks. And I just I think what's going to help me is just my offense and defensive line. That's what's going to set the tone early on in this game.
All right, now that again we've talked about your strengths, we always want to know what do you feel are your weaknesses that could possibly derail your title hopes here as well.
The biggest weakness that might derail us tonight is if we just can't get the run going. That's just going to be the biggest thing. And if we can't slow down Nico in the pass game that Tennessee has, we've seen it all year long. He can throw the ball and he can collectively run it too. But more or less, it's been what I've seen is he can throw the ball pretty well with Nico. But for me, it's what's going to really derail me is just if I can't get the run game and Montrell Johnson going. That is what collectively is going to slow me down. Because the run helps me set my pass up, and then if the run's not going, then the pass game kind of struggles. But that I think the one weakness is just the run. If I can't get it going, then it's going to be a long night.
All right, just going over that, didn't want me to expand on that a little bit. What's giving you the biggest problems really all year, like not just specifically looking at tonight?
Whoa, what's giving me the most issues so far this year is just turnovers, just in general. Usually most of the games that I have won, minus Utah. Utah turned the ball over 7 times and still got the W there. But it ultimately I helped turn the ball, caused him to turn the ball over I think 6 or 7 times also, so it's equally. But just the most issues is in most of my losses I've turned the ball over a lot. So if I can minimize my turnovers and and not do that, then I think we'll have a good game tonight. And me and Tennessee we'll go back and forth. But yeah, just. I cannot turn the ball over. That's going to be the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, you're right. That was pretty brutal watching that quarterfinal game against Utah, where again you did knock off the number 2 team. With number 1 coming up, you're trying to beat 6, 2, 3, and 1, trying to go after all the heavyweights. And again, since you're playing so well as of late, how confident are you in being in this position to make another title run next season?
Injury wise, we are very, very healthy. I do not have any major injuries. No worries there. Just the fatigue and stuff being worn down on Montreal is a little worrisome. But I feel like he's going to play a little bit. He'll get rejuvenated because we are in the Natty. So I feel like he's going to recover well, get a good week's worth of rest, or a couple weeks worth of rest there before we go play, and he'll be good to go. But nothing big for me.
All right, and again, we've seen a lot of dominant plays up front from both your offense and your defense. Do you think that do you think you can be as dominant tonight? And do you think that the Hog Mollies are going to get you the win?
Yes, I do. I do think we can be. Like I said, the last 3 weeks we've just been dominant. But I really could say, the last over like 7, 8 weeks to finish out the regular season, going into playoffs. We've just been extremely, extremely dominant up front. So I believe that we can continue that tonight. Like I said, if we can run the ball and set up the play, and then stop his run and stop his pass, and get some pressure by getting to Nico. I think it'll be a really good ball game for us.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a fun SEC matchup here tonight. This time for a little extra hardware. Again, I do want to thank you, Gator, and we'll catch you out there on the field. Corey, how do you feel about his assessments going into tonight's game?
I think he's straight on with it, especially assessing how Tennessee plays. He's right. Tennessee can run the ball. They really can, but it's harder for them to run the ball right now because of Dylan Sampson being out. So they're looking more for Nico to carry that load, which he has all year. Since Sampson, especially when he went down, Nico elevated his game even more than I thought he could. So yeah, if they can manage to cause pressure and get to Nico, I think they have a very, very good chance of winning tonight.
Yeah, I do too. I think both of these you can see how teams grow over the season. I don't think it's going to be nearly the bloodshedding that Florida had in that first matchup. But we'll look forward to that. And let's go over Tennessee's schedule, see how they got here. Again, the number one team in the nation. Again, this is just crazy to think that Florida's on the verge of playing number 1, 2, and 3. Not much a harder way to go than that.
Well, I think it's just crazy because it's 2 SEC schools. That and Tennessee hasn't lost all year so far going into the Natty, which is very impressive.
I mean, you got to think at number 10, Florida was still on the bubble. Again, with the error we had, a clerical error in Alabama, picking up an extra loss, Florida might not even be here. If they were down 1, it's just all in how it plays itself out. But going over the 16-0 Tennessee Volunteers, we're looking at you're looking at their game against North Carolina, NC State at 49-21. They won against Ole Miss 55-34. LSU at 42-14. Auburn 48-21. Kent State surprisingly close, 56-20, if you can call that close. Again, that game 48-7 over Florida. Alabama 31-28 in a tight game. They got Oklahoma, and with that, they took care of Kentucky, Georgia, and we got UTEP, where they blew the doors off trying to get some recruits a look, and then Vandy at 106-65. Then they had a pair of back-to-back games, the SEC championship game where they won 59-51 against Georgia. Georgia also played them tight in the bowl game, holding the Vols to 28, but they themselves only had 17. And Ohio State narrowly avoided picking off the Vols as well at 35-31. So really, they've had the having 2 games within 14 points. It's one of really all 3 of them just a little 11 points or less. They've had the tightest run of things as of late. So maybe they're slipping a little bit, but again, we're going to go ahead and Talk to TTV. I'm a snail. And with that, Snail, I got a question. First, what players have stepped up for you in the playoffs to get you in this position?
Alrighty, Coach Big Daddy Snail here. First question: what players have stepped up in the playoffs to you to this position? If I had to answer that truthfully, most of my defense, my offense is good, but I lost my starting running back earlier in the season for the whole
Ouch.
year, so I really just had to sort of play around that. It sort of sucks because I'm playing more air raid. But defense, I would have to say James Pierce Jr. He is absolutely killing it this year. He has 23 sacks and 41 tackles for loss. I hope in this playoff game right here, well, championship, he can stay on top of that. Florida won't be able to do much. So,
Yeah, let's hope for that. And really, what makes you think that you can go ahead and be victorious here over the Gators?
question number 2: what about your team makes you think you can win the Natty? Well, they're a great team. Injuries is really going to kill us this game. We're out 4 starters.
Ooh,
But if I had to say, if we can just stop their deep pass game, they like to throw a lot of fade routes. I think we'll be able to handle them, and as long as we can stop their run with Montrell Johnson, I think we'll be okay. So, really, I'm banking more of hopefully the offense can take over this game because we are very hurt on defense.
well, we'll talk more about injuries here in a bit. But again, what weakness do you think could derail your title quest here?
What weakness could derail your season? Well, now I'm very short on a linebacker and a start defensive tackle. And I've basically been banking off of my defense all year long, and this definitely hurts. My starting linebacker had 8 interceptions and 88 tackles on the season, and now we're going to have to go to some other younger guy to play, and then we're also going to have to go probably to a freshman defensive tackle. So it's going to be a struggle. We're also down, like I said, our running back, and I believe we're going to be starting a freshman running back for this game as well. So we're just going to have to see how it goes.
All right, and what's been giving you the most issues this year overall?
What has given you the most issues this year? Honestly, I haven't really had that many issues.
Yeah, it's hard to have
had a
that when you're
game where
16-0.
We really struggle to pick up the blitz at times. Facing the Georgia user, he loved the mug blitz, and every time he did that, it was almost like just free reign at the quarterback, and it's very hard to run an offense whenever you're running against that. You're starting younger running backs, and you don't have that many fast receivers, so it's very hard to get open very quick. So that'd probably be our weakness. Other than that, I think we're pretty good.
All right, and what injuries are you worried about specifically? I know you've gone over it a couple of times. It sounds like you guys have been pretty beat up.
Any injuries am I worried about? Oh, goodness. Yes. This past week, we lost 3 key starters. One is Jordan Thomas. Like I said, 88 tackles, 8 interceptions. He's been a crucial player this year. We lost him for the year. We lost Boo Carter, our starting freshman safety. We're about to lose a lot of speed on the safety end, and that's very crucial for this game because this Florida team has a really speedy player, and if I can't get a safety to get to him up the middle or on the edges, we're going to be screwed. And then third of all, we also lost our starting defensive tackle, Amari Thomas. That's a big player. We really can't. It's gonna be hard. He's a senior as well.
All right. Sounds like you've been bit by the injury bug more than anyone else we've heard of so far. But Let me ask you this now before we let you go. I know you've got to prepare for the game, but after this, how confident are you you're going to be in the same position to go ahead and make another title run coming up next season?
After this game, how confident are you being in the same position next year? If I'm being honest, we are losing a crap load of players, a lot of safeties. I mean, not a lot of safeties, a lot of seniors. We're losing, I think, 2 senior wide receivers. We're losing our center. Our running backs, I think they're going to stay. Luckily, Nico, he's going up to be a sophomore, so we're going to be all right. As far as that, we'll have to bring in some new receivers, which is sort of going to be rough, but that's okay. Defensively, we have a lot of young corners. I think they'll develop in the off season, go up some ratings. We are losing. Let's see. We're losing a middle linebacker. James Pierce is definitely going to be going to the NFL, so that's our best player. He's going to be leaving us. It's almost like we're going to have to be going into a rebuild mode. I can't guarantee we're going to be as good as we are, but I do have confidence in the guys to get us where we need to be. As long as we can play the same defense and start a fresh offense next year, we'll be okay. Luckily, like I said, we have a bunch of young corners. They went crazy this year. I think most had over 5 interceptions apiece. So thankfully, we're okay there. We'll have to work on some linebackers and defensive line. Other than that, I feel fairly confident we'll at least be in top 10 again.
All right. Well, it sounds like you're just more reloading than anything else. It sounds like you have a pretty tough task in front of you, much like Colorado. But again, we look forward to watching you out there on the field. Again, good luck tonight. And Corey, what do you think about our interview here with Snail?
I mean, Snail's pretty straightforward. Defensively, having all those injuries will hurt.
Yeah.
So having those young players step in. But then again, when you have the best, I know last night I said Travis Hunter may be the best player in college football, but defensively, I think that might just go to James Pierce. I mean,
yeah.
James Pierce, he's a dude. He should have been playing on Sundays as a freshman. Like, that's how good James Pierce is.
Well, we are going to find out here momentarily. We're about to go ahead and we'll be back on here live in a couple of minutes with the game that's about to kick off. Again, I do want to thank everyone for tuning in for the pregame show, and we'll look forward to going over the game and seeing what we can do.